In this video, we're going to look at Sparklines. These are our mini charts of individual rows. You can find them here in the Insert tabs. When we go to Insert, you'll see here we have this option of Sparklines, and you'll notice there's three types. There's a line, a column, and then one for win and loss. Now the way these work is you move them across here and they're placed in this individual cell. So basically you can think of it as an individual analysis of each row, or in this case each student score, and they can be formatted. So what we're going to do here is we're going to call this column Sparklines, and we're going to make this larger so it's easier for us to see. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to increase the row height a little bit. We'll do right in there, will be good. That'll give us a little bit more room here with our Sparkline, so it's a little better visual for us. So what we're going to do is we'll click here and we're going to click on column. So the first thing is we choose our data range. So our data range for us is going to be these first 10 tests, not including the test average. Now choose where you want the Sparklines to be placed. We've already placed right here, so we're good on that end. So we'll click OK. And then that's what we see. Now there's a couple things we want to do that will make this a lot easier to work with. First is we want to check high and low so we know the high score and the low score. You'll notice right away the low score is very difficult to see. So what we'll do is we're going to come over here to axis. So this vertical axis minimum value, so custom value. So I'm going to make this 50, and then I'm going to make my maximum value be 100. So the lowest score 50, highest score 100. Now it becomes a little bit easier to see. The other thing I want to do is I don't want the low and the high to be the same color. In fact, I want the high to be a different color. So I'm going to come over here for the Sparklines, and I'm going to do marker color. So you'll notice my 4 points, high, low, first, last, which we're not worried about first and last. But for our high point, we're going to change the color, and we're going to make this a green. And then what we'll do for everything is, you notice this Sparkline color here is in blue. We can change this to any color we want, or we can change it over here as well. So we could come over here and just work through some different colors here and how we want to do that. And so there we go. Now we see, as we're looking at this, we see this individual graph for these scores here moving across. So when we look at these scores, one of the things I like to do is just center everything up. I can take this, and if I'm happy with the way this looks, I can then drag this down. And now I have a visual analysis of every student individually. So I could do at the bottom an analysis for the whole class by each test, or even by test average. But now I have a Sparkline here for this entire student body. So here's each student's Sparkline. And you'll notice what I have the options for. I can clear them here, I can ungroup them, which I'm not really worried about. The other thing is I can go in, if I change this to line, notice it changes them all at once, and that's the power here of the group, is because each of these now is done at one click, and I change everything. But this is what the line looks like. So you'll notice the red point and then the green. So if we go back, it's easier for me to look at the columns. So the green, of course, represents the high score. The red here will represent the low score. And then each line, of course, represents a test. So we can work through here and see just that quick visual of how each student is doing. And that's a lot easier than working across the tests here, particularly, of course, if we're going to sit down with a student and they want to ask questions. One of the things we can do is we can make these larger. We can make them longer if we want. So we can kind of move these around. It all depends on how we want to make them look. How big you need them, how small you need them, that's all up to you. But you'll see the difference. These are, and like I said, these are really good when you're talking about that individual person and looking at that data analysis. For example, when we look at this student, we started off kind of rough, and they went up, they hit a high point here, and then they dropped really low. So maybe this is a test, and this is some content we want to look at, and then they start to show increase again in their score. So this is an easy way for us to look at this. So insert tab. Make sure you'll notice your Sparklines. They work off the individual rows. And of course, it's just a very specific cell. So it doesn't work across multiple cells. It's one cell with one row's data as a visual analysis.